It is now.
Right, sorry about that. That was Fred demonstrating the Salford Heimlich manoeuvre. So he assures me, I'm not convinced myself. As you can see, we're back here today at Fred's palatial mansion, and we're going to be talking about several burning topics, Fred. Hot topics.
Yeah,
but
quite
first, I would like to say hello to our friends in California. I mean that most sincerely. That's Debbie Jones, the lovely Debbie. Delightful Debbie.
Ex-beauty queen.
Ex-beauty queen from Orange County.
Used to go out with her.
I heard the rumours. Plus Neil Halsall and his
Went
dog.
Went out with him as well.
Well, I've heard stories. Yeah, but Neil Halsall and his dog who watched the show. But back to sanity, reality, what we call it that. We're going to talk about Underground Manchester.
The Orpheus Project.
And the Orpheus Project. As Fred just said, Fred, tell me about the Orpheus Project, the name, how it came about, and your involvement.
Okay, 1984, my dad, Bomber, Cockney Alf, the docker, passed away. And it needed something to occupy my mind. If ever somebody, passes on, and you need something to occupy your mind. You can't just be morose and thinking about it all the time. So I threw myself into two things. I bought a K2 telephone box, and I bought the, how can I explain it? Some old books and magazines from a lady called Joy Hancock's, and I was intrigued. It was all about underground passages, which I thought no more about until I bought Noel's house on Bury New Road, which was pulled down when I was in India. Salford Council pulled it down, as you know from previous comments. And I was in the cellar, and there was an absolutely spring clear water in this well. And there was another section by the side of it that was boarded over with boards that were about 2 inches or 50 mil, if you're metric, 50 mil thick by about 7 foot long. And I prized one of them up, and they were well belted down with the old cast iron, like, not cast iron, steel nails, with the what's belted down. Anyhow, I prized it up with a bar. Lo and behold, steps. I thought, this is interesting. So I went down the steps, and I'm in a tunnel. And the tunnel was about, I kid you not, 8 feet high. And it led, eventually, down to Hunt's Bank.
That's some distance.
It is some distance. Hey, I've not finished. And it went the other way, north, under Bury New Road, Devonshire Street, and ended up at a lady's house called Joy Hancock. She was the one that got me interested in the first place. And I come up in Joy Hancock's cellar. Joy Hancock used to be the headmistress at Salford or Pendleton, one of them things. So her credibility is beyond, reproach. She was good and honest. And there was another tunnel that went from her house right down Moor Lane to where? Kersal Cell.
Ah, yeah.
The plot thickens, It thickens. And we're thinking now, Reformation, priest escape, all this lot.
Priest holes.
But there was also something about a chap in Barton Arcade, St Anne's Square, that was on horseback, and they were in pursuit of him, and he vanished. And from that day to this, nobody knows where he vanished to, but I do. Because that tunnel at 8 foot high was high enough to carry a horse and rider. And it was great the way it was all done, because as you look at it, it was as if a machine. You've never seen a coal cutter in action, but it was grooved all the way around. People must have spent hours on end doing this tunnel. And I thought it must be for the priest, the Reformation or something, because when I got down to a certain area, which you'll understand as Boddington's Brewery, as we're in the tunnel, there's this brand new stainless steel pipe just to one side. I thought, what's that? Didn't know at the time, but know now that Boddingtons used to use their own water.
Had their own well there. Yeah.
From like an artesian
well, that's right, Fred. Yeah.
And that's what this stainless steel pipe was. And I went on a bit further.
This from Noel's house?
From Noel's house, right the way down Bury New Road. Don't forget, I better start from the beginning because I'm jumping the gun here. There was 4 of us. Big Iron, who was Barry Thompson, a 6 foot 8 inch docker and just as broad as he was tall. Belting fella, sadly no longer with us. There was my brother, and there was my best mate, my faithful retainer, who was also no longer with us, Gerald. And Adam, my other brother, came on occasions. And we thought about this. I read the book and we got really interested in it. I thought, I'm going to have a do at this. This is interesting. So we're making enquiries and we're coming up against a brick wall all the time. Nobody seems to know anything. And then somebody says, Allen's. I says, what do you mean, Allen's? Cateaton Street. I'll say no more. thought, what are they on about? Now, you might remember this, but in Cateaton Street at the bottom, there was a delicatessen called Allen's. You went in and it stank of cheese.
The cheese place, yeah.
Yeah, and sawdust on the floor and all this.
That's the Cow and Anchor.
That's the one. So anyway, we went in and I said, "Is a boss in?" "No, he's on holiday." Let me tell you, at this time, we've got yellow helmets on. I've got a methonometer with me from what I used to have at the pit, you know, for testing for gas.
You were looking the part.
Yeah, we've got clipboards, all the nonsense. Said, representing the council, "Oh yeah, can we inspect your cellars, please?" "Yeah, sure, the boss isn't here." I said, "Oh, well, we'll
Even
come
better.
back." Yeah, right. So we go down about 3 flights and they get down to the cellar and there's this massive sandstone voussoir, which is like an arch coming this way. Do you know what it was? The bridge. Do you know what the bridge was? The hanging ditch. Do you know what the hanging ditch went round? The Collegiate Cathedral. Do you know what the Collegiate Cathedral became? Manchester Cathedral. And do you know Oliver Cromwell went in and chopped all the faces off?
He did. The swine.
He had it in for us Catholics, didn't he? Anyway.
Good job they got rid of that statue.
Oh, did you notice Oliver Cromwell had his back to the cathedral as a gesture?
Yeah.
And then he moved it to Withenshaw Park because somebody pinched his sword. It had to go to Withenshaw Park before somebody nicked it. Should have put it in solvent, it wouldn't have lasted 2 minutes. Anyway, I thought this is interesting. So I'm taking a look and I look over Victoria Bridge. Do you remember where Louis Pivan was?
Of course I do.
Well, you're walking with me now. We've gone behind Louis Pivan and we walked across the road to that pavement that used to go straight the way up, and where that fella on the with one leg used to play his gramophone and used to throw a penny in his cap, and he had a little sign saying, "I lost my leg playing football in 1928." And everybody I always took an extra penny with me to put in his hat. We went up to the top where, I can't remember her name, but she was a massive Man City supporter. And she was the flower seller there at the top of Victoria Bridge.
Yeah, where the map was.
Yeah, you are here.
Yeah. You are nowhere.
We're right by the map, you've got it. We're stood by that map, and I look over and there's an arch. And it says something about perambulators are not allowed or something like that. And it stemmed from World War II. There were air raid shelters. So I thought, well, we're going to get in there. So we took a rope. Can you imagine this, 1984? We took a rope, carabiners, and we went down, lowered ourselves, and just where the opening is, you had to kick yourself out and slacken the rope. And we went right in. Gerald had to do it 3 or 4 times. He was pendulum over the hill before we grabbed all of his pants and pulled him in. And we got in there, and it was incredible.
It was where the landing stage is.
Yeah, no, the landing stage is so somebody drowned there years ago. There was a disaster, a boat sank or something. But I remember reading about that. And I get into this section, which is obviously an ex-air raid shelter. And I go a bit further along, there's a wall down here, and it's been bricked up. But it's not been bricked up very well. It's only limestone mortar.
You knocked it down, didn't you?
I did. It doesn't matter. It didn't say do not knock this wall down. So we had all the tools, we had all the gear with us and everything. So I broke in, and guess where we come out? A load of toilets. And guess where the toilets were? Underneath Oliver Cromwell's statue.
Fitting.
And what was it all about? They were all walnut and mahogany and stuff like that. And there used to be underground toilets years ago. So I thought, this is incredible. What are we going to do here?
What year was that date from the toilets then? 20s?
Yeah, probably. They weren't all that old. Yeah. They were all tiled and porcelain fixtures.
Was it Bronco or San Isel?
Probably San Isel, but the secret of using San Isel, you had to get a load of it and screw it up in your hands, then pull it out again. It was like tissue paper then. Otherwise, you ripped the back out yourself. But they were happy days. Better than cutting up in squares and putting them on the toilet, weren't they? Although we never had that because we always had an indoor toilet in higher Broughton. Anyway, we're in these toilets and there's another section behind it with an arch window that's been it's been tiled and everything. So we took the arch window out. It was all demolished. There was nothing happening. We weren't doing any vandalism or anything like that. We got this wall and we went in. And it was stagnant. The air was bad. It wasn't good. So just give it a few minutes before we go in. And we went in, and that's when the adventure began. We go along this tunnel, and I've got a compass with me, and we're actually going westerly up to what, if you measure it with the ground, the cathedral's there. We've gone past the cathedral. Further up Cannon Street, and then there's an area here, and it's full of pennies, threepenny bits, sixpences, all over the place. Of course, we took them.
I should hope so.
We shoved them all up and all that lot. Yeah. And it transpired that lot came from what was the Wishing Well.
New Brown Street?
On the corner, you've got it. And courting couples in the 50s, late 50s, 60s. They used to make a wish like, oh, I hope one day he buys me a ring or something like that. Or I hope one day Tony Flynn buys a round. You know, anything.
Yeah.
All these.
Well, you've got to live in
I know,
hope.
I know.
Living in hope.
I know, but I did deposit a few pence myself in those days. And they'd thrown it down this well. And obviously the well had been demolished because the Arndale Centre was being built and all the rest of it. And there's pennies all over the place. All in a sack. I think altogether we got £22, 7 shilling in threepence.
It's a rough count.
Some rotten bugger only put threepence in for his wish, or she did. Anyhow, we go further along and it gets more interesting and interesting. And I thought, you know, all the theories that were coming up, where's this and where's the other and where's that? Now, sadly, when they built the Arndale Centre, they did a lot of pile driving.
Yeah, it must have shattered it, mustn't they?
It was honeycombed underneath, Flynny.
Yeah.
They just pummeled and pummeled away, and a lot of that was inaccessible. But I believe you could go right the way up Rochdale Road, up to an old house, well in the something. We never really we couldn't do it, so we never really indulged in it. But I thought this is interesting. So every week we look forward to Saturday mornings because that's when we go and do it. Saturday mornings is the day. This particular Saturday morning, this fella says to us, you're doing this underground. I was at the skills centre in Trafford Park teaching plastering and what have you, and got, talking to everybody. And this fella said to me, do you know the Ruddy's building? I said, I don't know it, where? Piccadilly. I said, oh, aye, and he explained to me where it was. He says, you can go in there, and if they'll allow you, you can go down a load of steps. And you go about 100 foot underground, 200 foot underground. I said, yeah, and then what? He said, then you'll enter something that's really interesting. I thought, that's good. So we organised it with a pal of mine, Paul Johnson, who worked for BT. And he got permission, and we went in, and we went down. And it's beneath, it's still to this day, beneath the Ruddy's building. And where do we end up? The atomic shelter that was built in the 50s.
It's the Guardian complex.
It is Guardian. And the guys that built it were all Polish, and they couldn't speak a word of English, which suited Manchester Council ideally, because they couldn't talk about it. They had one guy who could interpret, sort of like the site agent or the clerk of works. He could speak both languages, but the rest of the Poles knew nothing, so they couldn't go spreading the word. It was all built semi-secretly to house the mayor and the dignitaries in case of an atomic. I mean, it's useless now. It won't, because now we're into the H bombs and all that lot. Yeah. So the atomic bombs, it's waste of time. And we went down this, and I remember years ago there was a newsreel about these two generators that were made by Crosley Engineering in Gorton, and one was called Marilyn, and the other one was called Jane, after Monroe and Mansfield. And I remember seeing it on the newsreel, or pathing. Bob Danvers Walker, and here we are at Crosley Engineering, and these are bound for the Hoover Dam. They never left England. It was all secrecy because those two generators, I've got the video of all
Cold
this.
War.
They're down there to this day in the atomic. Did we worth
Are
a few
you
quid
saying the government have lied to us?
Oh, just a bit. Not only the government, it might have been local government. Major government probably sanctioned it. And I'll tell you something else. I had a relation that worked in Heaton Park on the BT Tower, the big one, which is 1 degree out of perpendicular. I told them. They said, yeah, we know. I took my theodolite and measured. I said, you 1 degree? And this fella comes. You know what he had? A piece of string and a stone and tied it to a branch. He went like that. He said, you're right. It is slightly out.
Proper plumb line.
I had an eye for alignment and all that lot from my building days when I was plastering and what have you, so I knew I was right. Anyway, my uncle Jimmy Hadfield, who's now passed away, he said he worked on that at nights, and there was tons and tons taken out during the night in tippers. So I think there's something under there that's another bunk. And they're doing something now to this day. I noticed the other day they started taking the radar reflectors off. I don't know why, but watch this space. Interesting to know. So anyway, back to the Orpheus project. And this particular time, we're thinking, right, what we're going to do next week, the week after, and the week after that. And I'm reading all these books. And then I was approached by this chap later on, Keith Warrender, Underground Manchester. And if you look at this one, I actually did the foreword for him. There's a picture of me there. I look a lot older there, though. Can you see it?
Is that your school uniform?
Yeah, that was in 2009, I think, round about that, yeah. So he said to me, he got interested in all that, and I gave him loads of information about what he could do and what he couldn't do. But he gives a warning. These books are available. You can buy these below Manchester, Going Deeper Under the City, by Keith Warrender, author of Underground Manchester. But there's a warning. Read that warning out and I'll tell you why.
Prosecution may occur if you steal this book from... Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Unless otherwise stated, all the existing subterranean areas included in this book are regarded as dangerous, close to the public, and not to be entered under any circumstances without written official permission, without safety training, and under supervision. And you'll be liable for prosecution, and if death occurs, it's your own fault, basically. So, yeah, take warning from Keith Warrender.
Now, all these
Wise
entrances
words.
into the underground, and there was remnants of shops there. There was one particular one that was on High Street at Benson's Wine Bar, and they were taking one of these big concrete lamps with a swan neck off, and it vanished. The entire pole, which was about 26 foot, vanished in one hit. It was only the swan neck that stopped it going, and we were dead interested in that. We went and had a word with the chaps, and it was in a pub underground.
Did you not? I'm going to say,
With Britannia tables, he told me. Britannia tables and
I'm going
old
to be
stout
honest.
bottles.
I'm going to be honest, Fred. I'd have nicked everything I could find.
Yeah, but I couldn't because he was with me and he showed me out of courtesy. And I couldn't go back, you know.
Sorry, could you not go back at night?
No.
So
So,
I did hear, I don't know true, you may be put me right, Cateaton Street, I was told many years ago that there was a complete street under Cateaton Street.
Yeah, of course there
with
is.
shops and...
do you know why they're underground? Think for a minute, why would you have shops underground? They weren't underground originally. They built the railways, exchange station and everything else above it on stanchions.
Right, 1830s, 1820s,
Yeah.
yeah. Right.
And that stanchions led to a load of shuttering work and all the rest of it. So it was built over, all suspended on that. That's where underground Manchester began, where it was really at one time just surface Manchester,
Overground.
but because it's built over.
So the construction of the Arndale is completely ruined, as far as we know. The tunnel complexes, as you'd imagine, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
But perhaps that's why they don't want anybody probing. Perhaps there's areas of weakness that the borough surveyors don't want to tell you about. There's another way you can get into it, and that's in Victoria Station. As you go in the main entrance, you turn right and right again, and there's a flight of stairs, and you go down them, and it takes you into Division 3. Division 3...
Like Bolton.
yeah. Division
I might
3...
duff that.
Yeah, it's horrific because
I know it is.
there's the
Bolton.
River Irk flows right the way under from Scotland. It's called Scotland Tunnel, and it flows right the way under from the CIS side, right the way through, and it comes out just at the section of Hunts Bank, and it joins the Irwell there. It's at right angles to the Irwell at that point.
Right.
And we thought, let's have a look at this tunnel. So we got a flat bottom, but a punch. Yeah, you heard it, a punch. So we took these punts.
Sorry for that, Fred.
And there's three of us, but what we didn't do, and we didn't know, I know now, and I'd never do it again. There was a flash flood. You know, sometimes in the summer you get these massive floods, and it comes down like stair rods. And while we were starting it, we just got under, and the heavens opened up. The torrential current behind us from all the drains on the main roads in Market Street, Cateaton Street, all the way up, you know, Rochdale Road. They're all combined and all that water's behind us. I had the fastest punt boat ride of my life, I did, and I come out the other night. I'll never do that again. It frightened me to death. And the noise was horrific. It was thundering. You couldn't hear each other speak. And we're saying other words to each other like, oh, dear me. Do you think we'll be all right here, chaps?
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Gosh, where's that water coming from?
come out the other end, Tony,
Yeah.
and honest to God, I never want to repeat that ever again. And that was another trip. But we did loads of different things.
Did it get that popular one time? The police asked you to stop or something like that?
No, that was when we did the GMR safaris for the BBC. You know, like you do your history tours.
Yeah.
And it's £3 or £2 if you buy the
It's
tour.
usually, but it's for the Mustard Tree Food Bank. Fred.
I'm not saying that you're making any particular money.
And Winton Orphanage as well.
Winton Orphanage.
Have they got orphans in Winton?
We have
Yeah,
now.
no. Last 3 years.
Anyway, that was the stage. That was the Orpheus project, but it got better than that because it was arrested. And these blokes weren't policemen. They were just playing. I think to this
Men
day.
in Black.
Yeah, no, not so much that. I think it was MI6 or MI5, and I think it was a branch of that. And they wanted to know what we've been doing and all this lot, and they got locked up overnight.
Seriously?
Yeah, and I was told that by no means, and I've got the video. I've still got the video of it.
Don't
but
tell them, Fred.
it's not. I don't care. It's on VHS,
that.
and I've not got a video player anymore. I wish I had it. Have you got a facility that you can play a video on?
He will have, no doubt.
Well,
I've got a facility.
I'll dig it out and have a look at it because in this Guardian centre, there was a fire there about 10 years ago, underground fire in Piccadilly, and all the fire engines were there trying to put it out. Do you not remember it? 10, 12 years ago.
Probably.
Under Piccadilly. It was Guardian that was on fire. Now, you could go to Guardian and end up at Hardwick.
I remember that.
There's a ventilator comes from there.
There's one at Dial House, isn't there?
Well, yeah, there's one at Dallas, but there's another ventilator. And you were talking about the other day, it's terracotta. It's in front of a famous part of the Crescent.
I do know indeed. The vent shaft outside Peel Park.
And that was what it was all about. People think that the tower at Strangeways was where they used to hang them before they...
I was told that as a kid, yeah.
it's sort of
Someone
rubbish.
dropped that, innit?
Yeah. They hung them on some landing too. My brother used to be a screw there. He was the PLO officer, the police liaison officer. And he told me loads of things about Strangeways Prison and the wings and all the rest of it. But what it was, that big tower was ventilation. When I worked down the pit, they don't pump air down the pit, they suck it through. There's a shaft goes to one side with a big fan in, and that fan goes around, it draws all the air from the open end. You might find this daft, but when you're down the pit, they have air doors, and you've got to really pull on them to open them. And they go bang behind you, and that's so the air will go one way, otherwise you'd short circuit it. And the air is essential to get rid of fire damp, black damp, methane, get rid of all the gas and all the rest of it. Because it's prevalent, it happens a lot, there's a lot of gas, a lot of miners have been killed with gas explosions. But that sort of thing, in strange ways, when you think about it, they knew what they were doing in the Victorians.
Yeah, clever chaps.
They knew exactly what they were doing. And I always found it really interesting every time. I remember going past there, they'd had it all modernised. You remember, I played a record for him, and I got told off my producer when I was at the BBC. I said, this is for all my incarcerated friends, wherever they may be, and I played Up on the Roof, the Drifters. She come in and gave me a mild sherricking, a bit more than that. And she says, what are you playing at? I said, they exist, they're people, they're in prison, they're paying for the time, they've done the crime, what the hell, they're still citizens. Yeah. So she didn't pursue it any more than that, but I remember doing it. And after they'd done it, I was with a mate of mine who was going down, I said, look at that, they made some improvements now. And he didn't even know what he was saying, he said, yeah, look at them, they've got all the mod cons now, haven't they? I thought it was tremendous.
I actually took my kids when they were only young, 1990 in April.
Yeah.
I took them to see it. And the wife wasn't very happy about it. She said, why are you taking them that? I said, well, it's a piece of history which is happening, and they may remember this in years to come. Well, I hope we do.
Sure.
And she got a bit miffed about that, Fran. And she divorced me.
The thing about what you do is social history. And without blokes like you doing it, we'd have nothing to look back on or know.
I'll give you a 10 in a minute.
No, we wouldn't. What you do is good because it's making people aware of the social history. By talking about history, I used to have people listen to my programme, and mine was all about nostalgia. And this bloke rang it, he said, I'm only 26, but I listen to your programme regularly and all that. He said, I'd like to come on air and ask you a question. So I said, okay. He'd left his phone and we rang him. He'd come on air, we put him through. I said, hey, what we did, in radio, they have a 15-second loop delay, so that if you said the F word or anything like that, they cut you off straight away, bang. The BBC never do that. What they do is say, who are you? Mr. Flynn, yeah, can I have your number? 77616 what? Oh yeah, I got your number. We'll ring you back. They've got your number. Yeah, so we ring you back. Yeah, you're on air now, so you don't say anything because we've got your number and you'll get done.
Reported you.
The BBC always sue. Always, if there's any sort of like altercation, they always sue, to make an example. Whether or not they still do it, I don't know, but over the years, it's built up in Piccadilly Radio and all that. They have the loop delay. Yeah. Anyway, on this particular day, he comes on chatting to me. I said, what's it? How old are you? 26. I said, what's all this about? What do you find interesting in my programme? And he said to me 2 words: social history. And he was at university, studying some. He said, you were around when I wasn't around, and you talk about things like they're still there. I said, well, most of them still are. I said I had some spam this morning and some corned beef. Last night. I said, these things still exist. I said, well, I just finished the last of our national dried milk. And my Farley's rusks, they've gone down the tubes. And what was the other stuff we used to have? Used to get this stuff from the welfare, concentrated orange juice. And
powdered egg.
Mr. Powdered egg. And the cod liver oil to open your bowels. And over the road, Mrs. Vanderstock, we all called her Vandy. It was a Dutch name, Vanderstock. She married this Jim Van. He wasn't Dutch, but he worked at Robinson's Removals. And she used to say, have you got your orange juice from the welfare in Murray Street? I said, yeah. Bring it across. I've got a present for you. So we went in. And she was the only one in Higher Broughton that I knew of that was a Gentile that had a fridge. She said, right, Jim, and she called her husband over, who was smoking St. Bruno and Black Twist. What do you want, Minnie? Minnie Vanderstadt was her name. Jim, can you whittle me some sticks, please? Aye. So he got them faggots that were...
It's all right.
They were bound with wire.
I've heard about
firewood.
That, faggots tied up.
Yeah. And he got one of these faggots.
Keep digging.
And he got a knife and he banged the knife and he started making sticks. And the surprise was, because she has this fridge, she had a tray in it and she put the orange juice in, diluted with water, and then put these sticks in. And then she called all the kids, "Come on, children, would you all like a nice lollipop?" This was about 3 hours after it had all set, so we all went rushing up like to get one of these. "Oh, Mrs. Vanderstock, fantastic, fantastic." We didn't call her Vandy to her face. So we got these, and we're all sucking away. Oh, and at the end of it, we all had splinters on the inside at lips. He hadn't fettled them with sandpaper, he just trimmed them off like that. But, you know, she never wanted the cod liver oil.
What about a jubbly?
What, the one that you did that with? It used to pop up and down. Lovely jubbly.
Lovely. Yeah.
Can you?
Can you?
I've never seen them in shops.
They're triangular.
Used to be fourpence.
Yeah, they're not triangular, they're pyramidal.
Pyramidal, aren't you?
Like Winton.
I've got some in my freezer.
On your mother-in-law's life?
Honestly.
You could have brought
well,
them,
she's
couldn't
dead
you?
now, but yeah.
Oh, lied before his son.
Yeah, well,
You could have brought them.
can't say too much, but...
There were
I
loads.
think they'd have gone nice with this Ram Tam whiskey, friend.
99.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Ram Tam. Today's sponsors.
Black Ram. You may go further and fare worse. Welcome to Salford.media. You got another one, son? It goes down well, doesn't it?
Very well, Fred, I'm afraid, yeah.
I'll give you a wee dram.
I want to ask you, are you familiar with the Greengate area of Salford?
Yes, I am.
I had a riveting conversation, Wilfred, word you never usually would say. A chap, I'll mention his name, Arthur Blow, lovely man, was at the hospital yesterday.
Yeah.
Anyway, by the by, and he introduced me to his mother. She's 91, lovely lady. We're going to see her within the next 10 days.
What's her name?
To film her. All I got was Mrs. Blow. I was super polite. I love her. 91.
Just wiping the
Telling
whiskey
me
off
about
your
the
phone.
life. Her grandfather was a scuttler in
Oh, yeah.
Salford. Had several public houses. He had the Flying Dutchman on Greengate.
Do you know about the scuttlers?
I do indeed.
Tell me what you know.
I'll tell you about Mrs. Blow first.
Go on.
Her sister played the music halls.
Oh, yeah.
And one of her songs was "That's the Man for Me," and she tried to sing it to me. Her brothers fought on the Somme.
Oh, yeah.
One got killed on the first day. The name's on the Greengate War Memorial. Mm-hmm. What a family, what a story. And they've got all the handbills from the grandfathers were bare knuckle fighters. Proper characters, Fred. So we'll be filming you soon, Mrs. Blow. Social history, Fred.
Quite right.
Her life has got to be recorded and documented, and I'm happy to say we'll be doing it.
And the pubs. The Shears,
pubs, yeah.
the Three Legs of Man,
Yep.
the Lamp Oil further up the road, the Waterloo, the Star, which
Flying Knacker.
old Duffy used to run.
Yeah.
The Flying Knacker, that was Mafia Joe.
Mafia Joe, yeah. That's right. He
Joe
fell down
Di
overnight.
Felice.
Fell
Joe
down
Di
overnight.
Felice, yeah. Do you know, a funny story about Mafia Joe? I used to go in there with my mate Sid Hughes. Rest in peace, Sid, he's gone now. But I used to go in there and have a drink. And this fella come in, it was a Maddock day. I think they'd been scaffolding. He had one of them things in his belt, what you have the spanner in. And they come in and they said to the landlord, 2 pints of your best bitter, please. And Mafia Joe looked at him and said, all my bitters best. He didn't take fool's gladdy. He didn't have much of a sense of humour, Mafia Joe. He ended up going on to Lancoats to the Fire Brigade pub on Pollard Street or
Oh, I
something.
remember that cider house.
Yeah. Well, that's what he ran after
I could say
this.
stories about that.
So these two lads are in. It's a mad hot sunny day. Sid sat down there. They're all playing cards with crib and all that nonsense in the vault. And I never ever saw any girls in there. It seemed to be male domination. Just by choice, the girls probably didn't want to go in. There was nothing in it for them. And they're all sat down there playing cards. And I said to Mafia Joe, have you not got the telly on, Joe? He says, no. And I knew he loved brass bands. I said, Brighouse and Rastrick are on BBC. They're not, are they? So he went into there. They were watching the horse races.
Turned it off.
No, he turned it over to BBC
Yeah.
Two. And Rastrick bands there playing. And they're all like frightened to death of saying, hey, Joe, put it back. They won't say it. Anyway, these two scaffolders coming in like that. And it's a mad hot day, and it's sun streaming through the smoke glass windows. You remember it said
a lovely
flying horse.
picture.
Yeah. And he went like this bloke. And he got his pint, we've all done it, and he held it up to someone and looked at it. Mafia Joe snatched it out of his hand, gold and the money, threw it at him and said, get out! If there's anything wrong with my beard, I'm the first to know. He said we were just admiring it. Get out! Oh, he was vicious, Mafia Joe.
Touchy.
But a good pint as well. I think it was a Robinson's house.
No, Tetley's.
Was it Tetley's? It was good beer anyway.
Had a
When
few-
Tetley's was
A few
good
games
beer.
had done in there. My brother Michael used to make me play for money with him. I was a very shy, timorous child. I didn't like it.
Did you win?
He made me. Made me cheat.
Yeah, and the lamp oil, that was the eagle and child.
You know, just the eagle.
Was it the eagle? Why did it get the lamp oil?
Because they used to, the shop, it was a shop come pub.
Yeah.
And they used to sell, amongst other accoutrements, lamp oil.
Did they?
Yeah, well, you got the black off it.
I went in there with Supersonic Sid, my mate Sid Hughes.
Elbow on that, I believe. No, oh, they did very. Oh, it's Coronation Street chap owns it, but the band Elbow, they own Twilight
Bury, aren't
Studios
they?
across the road.
Oh, yeah.
They're regulars in there. Guy Garvey and all that lot.
Well,
And then they're flopping their.
I used to go in there with Shiny Suit Bob, Councillor Clive,
Shiny
Supersonic
Suit
Sid.
Bob.
Yeah, yeah. And David was the licensee at the time. Bit of a miserable bugger he was, but the rest of the lads were okay. I think that was an Altsy's pub.
Still is, Fred. Yeah.
Altsy's.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 out of 2's not bad. Fancy me thinking that Mafia Joe was selling.
Yeah, Robbie's.
Yeah, I like Robbie's as well.
Three Legs of Man was Tetley's. It was Robbie's. That's why
Do you know the
confused.
magic of the 3 legs of man? You within throwing distance of the Salford city centre.
Across.
Yeah, that's where it was. Just in front of the legs of man in that little square. I don't know what's happened to that. Nobody seems to know where it's gone. But I think it was moved and put in the garden at Noel's house. I do, honest.
Where you used to live.
Yeah, there was a big structure
Your
at the
house?
back that covered it. Yeah, and the one they pulled down. Rotten sods. Anyway, that's where I think happened to it. But down that neck of the woods, Greengate, the big industry down there was the Greengate and Irwell Rubber Company, where my sister worked as a comptometer operator, whatever that is. And then the biggest second industry was Salford Bus Station,
Vicky.
if you want to call it an industry. And they used to go in there, and there was upstairs where they all brewed up.
Fred, I'll stop you there. I was a bus conductor for 6 months.
Where at?
Weast.
Oh, you'll...
And I used to go to. I won't say no too many people. I was only there 6 months.
All right.
I got bored and left with the
Henry
tensions.
Thompson used to drive the number 10s there, and the number 1s from Manley Park to Weast.
Yeah.
But when we was...
Number 10 was a great route because you used to go to
Warrington.
Warrington. Oh, you could have a kip on it and everything.
You
Well,
could.
I did.
have you got your bus pass?
I have now.
I've had mine, and I've only used it 3 times since I've had it, and I've had it 7 years. You don't bother with it when you've got it, do you? But now they've done something where you can't use it on the trams. You've got to pay on the
It's a
trams.
tenner. It's a tenner.
Is it? For the year?
For the year, yeah.
Well, that's
And
great if you use the tram a lot.
it
If you only use it once a year, you might as well go in a Rolls Royce.
Well, you've got one. Well, I haven't. But, I'm routes, Fred. Buses.
Do you reckon?
Routes.
Is that where you, if you want to travel from A to B, do you get the bus?
Depends how far A to B is, doesn't it, really?
I've got 28 bikes out there, going begging. I've got a tandem. We could go on the tandem. What about that cheeky bugger on Facebook who's said that you and I are like Sissy and Ada?
Yeah.
I object to that.
Who's who?
I'm going to be the good-looking one, Sissy. You can be like Star.
I've had that. I've had worse.
Do you know, it was brilliant that, but he nicked it all off Norman Evans, you know.
Over the garden wall.
That's right. He was the first one of it. And there was like, I love Will Hay. Do you know he lived in Strawberry Hill?
I did. And I also knew he was an astronomer.
He was. And did you know where
Educated in Pendleton.
Yeah, he was. Do you know where the transit of Venus was observed in Salford?
Crabtree observed it by the cliff in Broughton.
Can't get one over in him. It was actually at Scar Wheel.
That was it.
Yeah. And it was in
Councillor
1659.
Cohen reckons he lives in his house, but I've been told that.
No, he doesn't. Councillor
exactly.
Cohen lives down on Priory Avenue. But they did say he observed it from there. He might be half right.
He might have got up for a pee in the night and saw it.
Could have
You know what I
done.
mean? I said,
But he was with another fella. There wasn't just Crabtree, there was another chap with him. But that's parts of Salford. These are the pockets of Salford that are magic. Like Greengate, there's no
World's first century garden. Britain's country's first century garden. We found that out on Sunday.
What's that?
First sensory garden in a public park.
Where did it
Salford,
all start?
Buell Hill,
In Salford.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it. I think I put a comment. I said, and where did this blind, it's for the blind, wasn't it? A garden for the blind.
they could
Yeah, but
smell
don't
them.
think because they're blind they can't see it. The sense of smell is increased and they can...
Yeah, enhanced.
Yeah, enhanced.
word I like
Yeah,
to say.
enhanced is better. And then they can say, oh, there's primrose or there's violet. And you'll know what primrose is. You have enough of that evening primrose all for your joints, don't you? And all that lot.
Yeah.
Have you tried
pint
it?
of that before we go to sleep.
Oh, at least. Makes you sleep even in Primrose. Oh, that's good stuff.
3 o'clock I go home even if I don't have to.
What do you take? Do you take any supplements? I take vitamin D and ivermectin.
Russian vodka, painkillers.
They tell you about this ivermectin. Everyone's having the injections and all the rest of it, and you've had them as well. So you're going to be one of the robots when 5G comes into action.
There you go.
Have you had them, Carl?
I've had both.
Oh, you pair of robots I'm dealing with. 3 robots. She's had them done in there. I always found, when I was in India and Africa, I always took ivermectin. It's very rich in quinine and all the rest of it. And my mates were dropping down like flies with dysentery. I was telling Joe about this yesterday.
Where do you get it from?
It's not licensed for. I get it from South Africa through a mate of mine.
Oh,
who
here
sent
we
it across.
go, here we go.
No, I can get you some if you want
Drugs from
some.
South America.
And I put on Facebook that I'm taking ivermectin.
How much a gram is it?
I think it's about £2 for the pack of 12, and you only take one a month. Anyway, I got these ivermectin sent over to me, and I started taking them. And I thought, I feel all right. So I put on Facebook, these ivermectin, I'm not on the injections, I've taken ivermectin. So this bloke, pompous. Well, I suppose you know that ivermectin is not licensed for use within the United Kingdom. So I wrote back, Mr. Cocky. No, but thalidomide was registered, wasn't it? End of story. Never got back to me after that. And all the women that took thalidomide were doing it for morning sickness and things like that. Yeah. The sad side effects were deformed children and that. But it was a licensed drug. And there's a lot of drugs that are licensed that they found out that the side effects of the drug can heal other maladies and other illnesses and other diseases. It's like aspirin. Comes from the willow tree.
That's right, it does.
Doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
And did you know that Salford, Salix,
willow tree.
The willow tree.
By the Ford.
By the Ford. And the Willows was called the Willows because it was Salford City Reds rugby ground.
We passed that before and I was shocked to discover they've got an Aldi tacked onto the side of it.
Honest.
Aldi. It's German, but I'm not going down that route.
It was always John Wilkinson's wish to open a new stadium and all that lot. And the AJ Bell Stadium should have been him in command and all the rest of it, but...
Ideal world, that, Fred, isn't it?
Yeah, now they're on shaky ground, Salford City Reds. Haven't they got to find some other ground or something? What's happening?
Moor Lane, I believe, is that right?
Well, it's up in the air at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. No, tell the truth.
Up and under.
For legal reasons, let's just leave it there.
Yeah, Eddie Waring.
Aye, Eddie Waring.
He's a local lad from a two-ton drive. Do you know Paul Anthony Furnishings? Ringing a bell?
Langley Road.
What's it called?
On Langworthy Road. Langley Road.
This one's on the... If you stood at the packet house and look across the road, outside the canal, Paul Anthony Furnishings.
Oh, Camillary's lad, that.
Yeah.
Young John.
Camilleri.
Yeah.
Hi, John, if you're tuning in, by the way. John Camilleri used to have John's Diner.
Yeah. He's
Great
in Blackpool now, I believe.
No, he's at Lytham St Anne's now.
I say Blackpool, you say Lytham.
No, I'm not pedantic. It's just that if John was listening to this, he would correct you, and I'm just saving him the job.
Fair enough.
So anyway, I got asked by this chap, I can't remember his name now, he says to me, I was doing the radio and opening stuff and things like that, because that's where the money is. Make no mistake, when you're doing radio, everyone, how much do you think I got for a 2-hour show? And I don't mind telling people.
200 quid.
£130 for 2 hours. And you think, 2 hours, that's not bad money, but it's the work that goes into it, pre-production, getting in touch with the stars. And I've interviewed them all.
I want to ask you sort of about one star in particular. Someone has asked me to ask you, but you carry on first and I'll tell you.
Right.
Not Cilla Black, no.
No.
Definitely not Cilla Black, believe me.
A Laura Love there, Cilla. A Laura Love. I'll start with the famous ones like Sean Connery, Vanessa Redgrave, and then the lesser ones like Norman Wisdom, Ken Dodd, Johnny Moore, all
Tony
the Drifters.
Flynn.
Who?
Tony Flynn.
Tony Flynn, yeah, he was in the studio one day. I've done them all, honest.
My mate has asked me, PJ Proby, is the man, the myth, the truth?
So romantic. When you're far away, I'm always blue. If you want me to remain romantic. Do you know what he said to me? He says,
What are you doing in my garden?
His name's Jim Marcus Smith. I said to him, "Did you take a drink, Jim?" He said, "Nope, don't drink no more, but don't trust a guy who doesn't." So I said, okay. And I was into chatting to him and all the rest of it. Now, the funny thing is, I was at Fairfield Halls in Croydon. I was working at Whiskey A Go-Go in London in Wardour Street, and it was my night off. And he was in town, PJ Proby. And I went with a pal of mine, Roger Bussey, and he said, do you fancy coming down to see? He's in Croydon, Fairfield Hall. I said, yeah, we'll have a run down. The day he was on stage and he ripped his trousers, we were there. Do you know what he ripped in his trousers? The knees. He had those 3/4 like trews on with the button. He had these flowery, like a swordsman of Siena.
Yeah.
And that's all he did. And PJ Proby rips his trousers. Mary Whitehouse gets hold of it. It's not the trousers that are ripped, it's the crotch area. Rubbish! And I defy you, if you speak to Jim Proby today, he'll tell you exactly the same thing, that's what happened, just his knees went, but they made such a mountain out of a molehill, and it killed his career.
He's a great singer.
Still is.
Wasn't he a friend of Elvis?
Yeah, apparently. Well, he told me that he'd met Elvis and all that, but I met Elvis' stepbrother, Stanley, whatever his name is. I did a
Stan
thing.
Presley lives off Langley Road.
No. Something Stanley. I went to see him, and he's Elvis Presley's stepbrother, and never got to him. I tried to interview Frank Sinatra. I thought there was going to be a scoop here, and his wife Barbara came on and said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Sinatra's a little bit busy today. He can't talk to anybody. He's not feeling too good." I thought, okay, fine. Another fella that I got my own back on was Vic Damone. Do you remember him?
I remember the singer, wasn't he?
Yeah. I wanted to do an interview, and he said, I'm sorry, Mr. Damone's busy. He's got a round of golf in 10 minutes' time, so it's impossible for him to talk to you. And after that, they'll be in the 19th hole. I thought, okay, fine, forget it. A few months after that, he's released this CD. Sent it to me, Fred of the BBC. His secretary must have kept all the numbers of everybody that was in radio or the media. Could you please play this? And Vic is up for an interview. So I said on air, I said, listen to this, and I read it out. I said, so if anybody knows Vic Damone, will you tell him, sorry, I'm busy. I might be playing golf, but I'll definitely be in the 19th hole, and I ain't talking to nobody with the name of Vic Damone. And I said it on air. I thought, God's good, get me own back on him. There's other people that I've interviewed. Gareth Hunt, do you remember him?
He was in the Avengers or something.
He was. He was Mike Gambit in the Avengers.
Hey, what a name. Yeah. Mike Gambit.
And I was
That's a bit tough, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was in Studio 1A down at Oxford Road, and Carol, I shouldn't have done this really because she baited me. Carol was a receptionist, and she was also part of the security team. When they used to open all my mail and shake it because there was that ricin powder threat and all the rest of it, all my mail was, they never read it, but it was all open and that. And she said, there's a superstar come to see you, Fred. He's sat in the corner of the reception wearing his shades, and it's not even sunny. I said, okay. Now, they had an ingenious system down there. If you looked at the floor in the BBC, it was a real conglomeration of tiles. Red tiles, blue tiles, green tiles, pink tiles. I thought, what a horrible mix. Till I found out what it was. They said to him, yes, Mr. Hunt, could you please follow the red tiles? Now, the red tiles took you to Studio 1A. The green tiles, 1B. Studio 7, where the Halley Orchestra was pink. And these tiles, you just followed them. Better than directions. Brilliant idea. So he came in to
colour coded.
Yeah, at the time he was doing something, a series. He's dead now. God rest him.
I can call him.
But yeah, but he came in the studios and he said, I'm sorry about this. He said, I've been mobbed by fans. And nobody had bothered with him in reception. I said, well, Gareth, you know who I am and I know who you are. You can take your sunglasses off if you want. He said, I'm sorry, occupational hazard. He said, I'm always forever getting asked about it. And he wasn't. But he come across as a big superstar. I did Robert Powell. Do you remember Robert Powell?
Salford lad.
Right. His mother, Edna, knew her. So anyway...
Getting back to Gareth Hunt, did you give him a kicking?
No, I didn't. He was all right.
I'd have been tempted to.
No, I think he'd been there.
I say, are you still advertising coffee?
Yeah. Gareth, would you like to come in for a...
Gareth?
Yeah, don't mind if I do.
How's your career going?
Anyway, I interviewed Robert Powell and he said to me, oh, he's in the green room, he's waiting for you. I said, okay, I'll go and pick him up from there and take him into the studio. It was a recording. He was appearing in Sherlock Holmes at the Palace Theatre. He was Sherlock Holmes, wasn't it? So I went in, and honest to God, I didn't see anyone at green door, but he'd sat behind the green door on a chair just having a sip of brandy or whatever it was, his tipple. And I went to close the door to go out, and I looked at him, oh, Jesus! He said to me, yes. But a great actor, very, very funny, good fella all around. He was a nice fella.
Didn't he marry Pan's people? Someone?
Beautiful Babs. I don't know what the other girls were called. No, he married Beautiful Babs, didn't he? That was Porridge. He said that. I used to love that girl, Beautiful Babs. I don't know what her name was.
Oh, the other one was
Ronnie Fletcher, wasn't it?
Ronnie Barker.
Yeah. Ronnie Fletcher. I'm getting mixed up with Norman Stanley Fletcher. Send him down, as opposed to that. But yeah,
Leslie Walsh send him down.
I had Jenny Seagrove in the studio. Do you remember her?
Yeah, I do,
A woman of substance. She was doing a series at the time.
Looked like she had some substance, isn't
Yeah, a good-looking girl. And she came down. She had these 2 dogs with her, 2 beagles, and I nearly said her name then, but the producer says we don't allow dogs into the sound booth. So she kept. There's a big glass window here, and the dogs are there, and she's facing me, and we've got the desk with it, and looking over the top of the desk, and I'm talking to her and all this lot. But I can hear in this ear from the producer's side of the mic, go, and it's the dogs. They're fretting, and I'm talking to her, and she keeps looking like that at the dogs. So I says, Corinne, could you bring Jenny's dogs through, please? So she looked at me and said, oh, thank you so much. And she said in my earpiece, dogs aren't allowed in the sound booth. I said, perhaps you'd like to come in and tell her. I thought, she's not putting bullets in a gun for me to fight. Anyhow, she came in and I got the best interview ever. She was brilliant. And I said, is it true that Michael Winner, calm down, dear. I said, is it true that Michael Winner one day woke you up on your birthday with a complete orchestra on the lawn playing Happy Birthday? She says, yes, it is. And I've heard another...
Did she marry him?
I don't know whether she was... Yeah, I think she was. Right. But I'll tell you something else about Michael.
Know,
another pal of mine who's a stunt, Rocky Taylor, his name is.
I've heard of him.
Oh, you would. His dad did it as well before him. Rocky Taylor. He's still alive today. But in Death Wish 3, he had to jump off a building. Something went terribly wrong. He got badly burned. He says, Fred, when I was in... talk like that. Fred, when I was in hospital, I didn't get one card or one call from Michael Winner, and even less from Charles Bronson. And now Charles Bronson and Michael Winner have both passed away. So they can't argue the point in that. But just shows you, doesn't it? You give your all. Rocky Taylor was a big pal of Virgo's. We were out one night, me, John Virgo.
Hey, did you see that woman who said Angus, what's his name? The wrestler Angus.
Wild Angus.
She said perhaps you, Fred, knows him.
I do know him.
Died 5 years ago.
I know, but Wild Angus took 5 bobbies in the crescent to hold him down. He could lose his rag, and he was a big mate. They worked at the Willows for a while on door. He was a big pal of Pete Stewart, who was the Iron Duke, and another pal, Rollerball Rocco. Yeah, I knew them all. I knew all the wrestlers in one shape, form, or other. Do you remember Kent Walton? Hello, grappling fans. I think he was Canadian, wasn't he, or something like that? Yeah. Hello, grappling fans. Yeah. And he was all a cock-up, wasn't it? Yeah. One wrestler in particular, I won't mention his name, he told me about the machine. So what's that? And he used to have a little razor blade tucked in the top of his... and if he'd sit down like that, go like that, and just run it across the top of his head. And this skin here, it bleeds profusely, but it's only a small line. It heals up. And the crowd used to go, oh, look at the blood and that. It was all inflicted, self-inflicted. And it was a choreographed thing, you know. They got
Jackie Pallow used to do the ballet stuff.
Mr. TV, Jacket, Mr. TV Pallow, and Mick McManus. It was a carnival, but it was entertaining. They had some old granny running around the wing with an umbrella and all that. But I remember the Klondike twins in a fight at Bellevue, and somebody threw a chair in, one of them stacking chairs, and right on his head, the corner of it, bong, and and he's rolling on the floor like Oliver Hardy. That was real. And I remember somebody else. Do you remember Ricky Starr, who used to come on as a ballet dancer?
Oh, yeah. He
was fighting somebody, I can't remember who it was, and the fella stood on his ear and twisted round on his foot. The fella had a red ear like this for the rest, and it was in black and white in those days. Big black ear, but it was red, you know, for the rest of the fight. I dare say sometimes a lot of it went wrong. Proper wrestling, pro wrestling for the Olympic style standards, that's Pucker Gen, that's the real stuff. But wrestling in the ring, any bloke. Burt Royal, he used to come for a drink with us every Monday, me and Fred Eyre. Do you remember Fred Eyre?
City fan, wasn't he?
He was. Well, he was City's only apprentice.
I only said that joking.
And he's done loads of... He used to do what I did. He did After Dinner. It's brilliant. Him and Neil Midgley. You remember Midge? Yeah. He's buried up at that church in Clifton. And it's got on his gravestone a little whistle and a referee's book, you know, for booking him and that. Oh. Jackie Blanchflower.
I had a red card on mine.
Yeah. Jackie Blanchflower.
Sent off far too soon.
Yeah. He was a big pal.
Gone for an early bath.
Yeah. Jackie Blanchflower and Albert Scanlon, they were both pals. I used to have a drink with both of them. And he said to me one time, I said, Jackie, he said, I believe he was with Neil Midgley doing it after dinner. I said, and I believe it was the inauguration of Alex Stepney doing that. I said, yes. How did Alec do? I said, he did okay, you know. He said, and what about Neil? I said, he said, do you know he's sponsored by Optrix? I told Midge, he said, if you had Midge at an after dinner, you didn't need a comic. You didn't need a guest speaker. You didn't need an MC. He could do the lot. And he had a lovely wife, Barbara Midgley. Yeah, Barbara's still alive and going, but Neil, it was sad. I went to the funeral, and it was at the church up there on the height.
St John's?
Yeah, I think it was St John. I can't remember the exact church. It might not have been. I don't know. But
Titanic victims buried in there. Right?
I believe so. I've seen that on your social history thing. But I went there, and guess who's singing at his singing? Bernard Manning and Vince Miller. They sang at Neil Midgley's funeral. And I was in a dry eye in the house. They were brilliant. Yeah, because Bernard was a big pal. Vince is still going. Vince was at the Poco. More times than I've had hot dinners. He was a compere there when Alan Kay had it and Joe Lamb. These are people that are all gone now.
That's right. Do you remember Barney Davis from Salisbury?
Very well. And his sister Maya.
Yeah.
Not his sister, his wife.
Fruit and veg stand.
He did on Cross Lane Market.
Then they had the Gainsborough.
When he had the Gainsborough, I think Derek Johns was the compere there. But the thing about it, he was very professional, Barney. He always come on with a suit and tie, immaculately dressed. But he would never allow anybody to get up during the night to go to the toilet. I mean, he did it different than Bernard Manning. Bernard Manning pulled him apart if they went to the toilet when he was performing. Yeah. But he always insisted on collars and ties. One day, Barney told me this himself, Jerry Dorsey comes to the door, but changed his name later on to Engelbert Humperdinck. Wouldn't let him in because he had a polar neck sweater on. So he said to him, you can borrow this tie. And Barney lent him a tie and he put the tie on it looked all right, Bert with a polar neck sweater. But the standards were maintained. Yeah. Like Joe Pullen at the Talk of the North.
No trouser suits.
Do you know who he stopped coming in with a trouser suit on?
Me.
Shirley Bassey. According to Joe, he told me this, and I bet Roy Mosley knows the story. But he told me this about, he said, no, I stopped Shirley Bassey coming. I actually give her a change of clothing for her to wear. So I said, sorry, Shirley, it's the standard of the club. And the Talk of the North was brilliant. It was a first-class club. When that ramp come up in the stage, it looked like number 4 pit coming out of Agecroft like that, come up like that, and all the artists were on board and that and singing. Fantastic place. But we had it all in those days. Do you know, you could go to the Riverboat Club, the Georgian, which used to be the Devonshire Sporting Club, the Domino Club, and see the same acts if you followed the acts around, because they'd start at the first club at 8:30, they were on stage for 9, finished at 10, over to the Domino for 5:30, do an hour at the Domino, then do the final one at wherever, at the Georgian and that. And it worked. These guys were making good money. And I always said to Bernard, I said to him, Bernard, you're a funny fella, why do you keep effing and jeffing? It's what they expect, son, it's what they expect, I've always done it. I said, no, you haven't. I have, son, I have. And Johnny Moore was with me, not Johnny Moore out of the Drifters, Johnny Moore, the impressionist and comedian. And Johnny Moore looked at me and says, Bernard, he said, Fred's right. He said, I remember telling a joke once in the Embassy Club with the word fart in it. He said, and you pulled me. He said, none of that stuff in here, son. We don't have none of that. Don't ever use that in here again if you want to be back on stage here. He says, no, I said, I said, you haven't. I said, and I'll tell you for why. First time I ever saw you was 1965 at the Riverboat Club. Yeah. I said, and the audience would not allow you to use the F word, and neither would the manager, and you'd never get another booking. The only time I heard you use the F word for the first time was on the Sundays. Oh, I said, that was the strippers, wasn't it? I said, yeah, Sunday lunch, the strippers used to come on. I said, then you used to, because it was all male review, sort of thing. They weren't a mixed audience. And he said, no, I thought I'd always use it. I said, no, you didn't, Bernard. And when I used to have lunch with him, I took Joe up to see him once, and he sat there in his underpants and his cream under his armpits and that. He used to get sweaty and what have you, Bernard.
That's an enduring image, isn't it?
I know, but well, have you seen that picture I've got, haven't you, me and Bernard in our underpants and that? And Joe was a bit shocked because he was sat there with his, and he didn't wear, they were Y fronts. Y fronts aren't like the posing pouches that you and I wear.
No, the satin ones.
These are the ones with legs in them. And he sat on the couch.
Pendleton trunk.
Yeah, sat on the couch with his legs out and all that lot. And I took another fellow up with me one time. He said to me, not much of a life Bernard's got, is it? I said, not much of a life, what do you mean? Well, sat in that chair and that in his vest and underpants. I said, yeah, he sat in that chair, comfortable, in his vest and underpants, watching the telly, with a telephone by his side, and all he does is pick it up, say, Joe, to the betting office, put me one on Desert Orchid, 3 o'clock at Kempton, bump. And that was his bond. And I thought it wasn't until years after when he said, put me one on. It wasn't 100 quid, it was £1,000.
Like a sand?
He put a G on it, and he gave me 3 horses. I was going to a do at Haydock, and he gave me 3 horses, different races. And there was another team, there was about 7 or 8 of us. And every horse at Burnley, it won. He was getting top tips from whoever, I don't know, because you know that
The stables.
the sport of kings, it's as bent as anything else, horse racing, isn't it?
Well, I should imagine where there's money involved, there's corruption,
I'm sure it is. And this thing about they take the bucket away, they don't give them any water, or they give them extra water before the race, something like that. There's all sorts of things that slow the horses down. But I remember years and years ago, I bet 1964, sixpence each way I had on Team Spirit. It come in 25 to 1.
Did they save it in short pants?
Yeah, well, my dad put the bet on for me. I'm just wondering if it was legal that in 64. Was
Yeah,
it?
it would have been. Yeah, just.
Brown and Whitworth it was on Cheetham Street in Manchester, in Salford. Before that, it was a back alley. I used to be a bookies runner for my dad. He used to say, yeah, he used to have a bob each way on this horse, and I'd go a back alley like that with my short pants on. Shilling each way on this horse, it's with my dad. EPX, that was his nom-de, EPX.
Yeah.
And I never remember going back to
winners,
collect his winnings. He never ever won. He was
one-way
useless.
trip.
We were sat there one day in our house, and he had a Davy Crockett hat on. It was my Davy Crockett hat, but the tail had fell off, and it was a proper big fur tail, not one of them things like a frying pan that was 7 and 6pence. This was a proper jolly, and I was only about 9-year-old, and he bought me this. I don't know, it was my Uncle Jim, but it was a real treat, and everyone admired it till the tail fell off. So I won't wear it after the tail fell off. And my mum said, oh, I'll sew it back on, don't worry. I'm still waiting to get the tail sewn on to this day. So my dad started wearing it, and he always used to sit near the window on Bury New Road, in the bay window, in an armchair watching telly, and curtains were always open. And she said to me, this woman passing once, oh, do you live at that house there where the foreign gentleman lives? I was funny. It was my dad with his fur cap on. She thought he was a Russian or a Lithuanian. So he's asleep. He used to fall asleep in 360 degrees, my dad. He'd start like this. And then after a minute. And then again, he'd do that 360 degrees. My Uncle Jim.
Round the clock sleep.
My Uncle Jim said to me, Freddie, here's £2. Go up to Sammy's sweet shop at the Rialto and get me the biggest rocket you can for £2. So I'm running up to Sammy's shop. Sammy had something wrong with his legs. He had one of them turquoise Invacars, you know, that they all used to have in those days before DWP. Yeah. And he had one of them, and I don't know, but he had this little sweet shop, and he could shuffle behind it. And he was making a living, you know, God bless him. Yeah. He was doing something to make a living. And I went and said, Mr. Sam, how much is your rockets for a big one? He says, 2 ceiling. I said, how much is the medium one? He says, 1 and 6. I said, I'll have the medium one and 6pence worth of dolly mixture. So he gave me the medium one, and I put my dolly mixtures under my snake belt so they wouldn't rattle. And I had my khaki short pants on and my pumps because I couldn't half run fast.
I'm glad you didn't say Clark's shoes.
Oh, I'll tell you what, my mum bought me from Washington's on Deansgate, which was the Provident Check Company. Finn shoes, F-I-N-N. Finn shoes, fine shoes the kiddies love to wear. Finn shoes, the fine shoes, they never need repair. And he had these Finn shoes. I couldn't wear them out. I used to be running fairground and all over the place trying to wear these things out, but it wouldn't. Anyway, back to the rocket. So I'm running. My Uncle Jim's there, and we're looking through the door, which is slightly ajar. And I always thought it was wood. But he's got the door open like that, and I can see me dad. I'm laughing because I know what's coming next. He said to me, give us a rocket. So I went and put the rocket in the tile fireplace. Put the rocket there. He always used to smoke Players, medium navy cut. And looked down, lit the blue touch paper. Come back behind the door, and we're looking like and the rocket went up the chimney. Oh my word of honour, there was soot all over the place, and my dad walked and black face, 2 white eyes, and his fur hat. My mum come running and said, oh Jim, what have you done, what have you done? She spent the rest of the afternoon with the Eubank trying to tidy it all, you know. But that was the occasion. He did daft things, my Uncle Jim. He set fire to the couch when we were all on bonfire night, and Jim Barlow was sat in it, and my Uncle Jim set fire to the back of it, and Jim Barlow was deaf. He could have, what a Guy Fawkes. You know, it's so lifelike. It was Jim Barlow. Jim, get up. Whoa. My Uncle Jim. But we used to have, in those days, we had things called rip raps.
Yeah, I remember them buggers.
And no matter which way you threw a rip rap at a girl, no matter which way she went, it followed her. You could not escape a rip-rap. And whoever had a Catherine wheel that completed the circuit without falling off the back door and leaving that black scorch mark on the new paintwork, which was Salford Green from the corporation, which you could nick. Everybody I knew that was at...
Direct Works?
No, not Direct Works. At bus depot, Frederick Road bus depot. Yeah. All their houses were painted green.
With a yellow stripe?
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to have the other. But all the window frames were painted green because they could get the paint from there. They once said to me, Dad, and I got told off for this, the teachers were nosy buggers when you think, what does your daddy do? And they were asking questions like, you know. And they said to me, what does your daddy do? And I said, he works in Salford, at Salford Docks. Oh, what do they do there? What do they make there? I said, I think it's light bulbs and toilet paper.
And boiled up.
Yeah. Well, they all had fiddles in those days. There was none of this. You ask anybody now, have you got any bent gear on your wagon? Can't do all that. Not. It's all tracked.
Golden age.
And what about the stuff in the warehouse? Can't do it now. It's all stock controlled by computer. I thought, well, who'd want to be a wagon driver? Because that was it. Back of a wagon. It fell off the back of a wagon. An old Salford saying, it fell off the back of a wagon. And do you remember dustbin men in those days? They had these things that opened up like that. An half-round thing that was and they used to have a bit of a wire tucked down the inside of the blue duster jacket and a flat cap on. They'd come to your back door, put the wire through and open it up. Pick your bin up, one hand, on the back of the shoulder, walk down the back entry, whistling, dump it on that thing, bring it back, put the lid back on it, close the door. Now what have you got to do? You've got to wheel your bin to the front door and they won't take it if it's slightly overloaded or things like that. They won't do it.
They've got feelings.
And they used to come around every Christmas. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Compliments of the season. My dad used to give him a shilling. Compliments of the season. Better I do. No, my mum used to give him a shilling. My dad wouldn't part with fresh air. He was a miserable bugger.
Money, wasn't it, really? If you didn't chip a bit of your bins empty properly.
Well, they looked after you. Do you remember that? What was it called with Brian? Oh, what was his name? Saturday night, Sunday morning. Brian Pringle. Brian Pringle.
Yeah, the dustbin men.
Yeah. With cheese and egg and all that lot, and Thunderbird fall on the front of the wagon. It was entertaining. You couldn't do it now because all these wagons that come and empty your gear now, they're all like backloaders and things like that. And they never come round. If they come round to me, come to see, I'd give them a fiver or a bottle of wine or something like that. But they don't knock anymore. And I would do because they're good hard bin men round here.
Oh.
They do.
Well, if you drive down that road, you deserve a medal.
I know. Do you know I pay over £2,000 community service charge to Salford Council? And what do I get for me? £2,000. I get my bin emptied every Monday. That's it. I don't get any street lighting. I don't get any street cleansing. I don't get any road repairs. There's big holes. You've seen this. You've been up with that car. And the roads are diabolical. Yeah. That's all I get for me £2,500 council tax.
Send your car into the garage in a bit to get it fixed.
I know. That's how bad the road is. But it belongs to Peel Holdings. And Peel Holdings will do bugger all for anybody.
Well, there's a big thing going on at the moment, Fred, about Barton Swingbridge. Peel Holdings own that.
Sam McAdam.
Well, the bridge is a disgrace, isn't it, to be honest. It's people saying, oh, it needs a lick of paint. No, it doesn't. It needs stripping back to the metal. Proper red leading if it's still doing that.
Sandblasting.
Sandblasting, Fred. Well, you see, I'm only an innocent kid from Salford. I only know about stealing lead.
You've never done any sandblasting in your time?
No.
You've never lived some.
No.
You need to every man should sandblast before he's 21.
But the bridge, terrible state of affairs. And people, apparently half of it is owned by, not owned, but some of the repairs is due to Salford Council, and the other half is Trafford. It sounds like that cloche mail, the French thing, about the toilet.
Cloche mail?
Yeah, French.
Je ne sais pas.
Just a Salford lad.
Just a Salford.
Parlez-vous français? Parlez-vous français?
No.
Oh, all right, okay.
Well, maybe.
Ich freue mich, dich zu sehen. Sprechen Sie Deutsch, mein Herr?
No.
You think of another one?
Exactly, knowing loads of languages. No comment.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu
Abkase.
Oh, that's the...
Tika. That's Urdu. She's just had one in Urdu.
What's the Hindi?
£3 shampoo set.
Lay eggs.
Yeah, they all want. Do you remember I talked about Bonfire Night, about Jim Barlow in the thing? One of the funniest things on Bonfire Night, my mum was here, and my mum always made...
Black Ram, is that, Fred? Yeah.
It's from Bulgaria.
Give over.
Yeah, it is.
Bulgarian whiskey?
Yeah. I don't know if you can see it on it.
I'm not going to invade Turkey, am I, or anything like that.
I'll tell you what I've got in there if you want a tipple. I've got some Lafrogue. That is genuine malt whiskey, Lafrogue, and it's the only malt whiskey I can't stand because it tastes like TCP. You know TCP, what you used to gargle with to stop you getting it? Tastes like
Do
that.
they not describe it as being peaty and boggy, something like that?
It's the way that the smoke from the heather rolls down across the beach.
The burning cottages.
Aye, and ends up through there into the whole stream, and it's that very stream that they use to make the whiskey for 16 good men of Tain called Glenmorangie. And when they fill those kegs after they've opened it, 10% has evaporated, but we call that the angel's share.
Oh, that's poetic, that, Fred.
That's what the Scots doing it to sell whiskey.
Really nice from Alder.
Hey, they want devolution, these Scottish fellas. What do we got to Scotland for? Touring and whiskey.
I go for Charles Rennie Mackintosh.
Oh, he's a brilliant architect,
I went to an
Charles.
exhibition of his in the McClellan Galleries on Sauchiehall Street in 1996.
Glasgow.
I made the trek, Fred. I had my passport, I had my jabs, changed my money at Carlisle, and ventured in.
Have you been to Edinburgh?
I've not, no.
I was the lone piper on the battlements of Edinburgh Castle, at the 1968 military tattoo.
Seriously?
On my word of honour, everybody had gone home.
He plays bagpipes, by the way.
But everybody had gone home, and I just see what he's like. I did. I've got a little set up there, but those are joke ones. Been proper ones are in there. But she don't like me playing them.
Well, she wouldn't do.
She finds that I don't woo her with them.
What is it they say
But
about...
when I get my didgeridoo out, you want to see the smile on her face.
Well, they say about a gentleman who can play the bagpipes but doesn't.
That's right. A gentleman is a man who can play the pipes but does not. Yeah, it takes some doing, you know. Whenever I went for a chest X-ray or anything, when I used to work on the pit, I used to have to blow into a sphygmometer, and it's like a toilet, you know. What we had as kids. You always kept the centre of your. Anyhow, you go like, and it's a right big.
It's like a spiral thing, isn't it? Yeah.
No, I don't think it... Well, it might be, I don't know, I never really weighed it up, but I know it's big. It's not like a tube, you've got to go... And you keep going till you really... And every time I've had one, oh, there's nothing wrong with your lungs. Yeah. I said, well, yeah. Oh, you've got very good lung power. I said, I play the bagpipes. She said, you know, there's a lot of people coming in, and those that play woodwind and instrument, they've always got good results. She said, but the guitarists, they're useless. I said, hey, it's not the guitarists, it's smoking Flynny stuff, what they all smoke.
Yeah, Wacky Backy, please.
Wacky Backy, that's the one. I told them that.
And you, he didn't do Roy Castle any good, did he? He was always blowing things, and
I know. He did. They called it, what he got was like passive cancer from working the clubs and all the rest of it. Yeah. And I knew his wife, Cynthia. I'd met Roy Castle a time or two. And you know, they said he was very, very versatile. No. Roy could play trumpet. He could play a little bit on any instrument. But he didn't know what an F7 was for a G minor. Yeah, he didn't have a clue, but he could play anything. I'll pick any instrument you want, and within 5 minutes I'll get a scale out of it and I'll play you a tune. It's not hard once you've got the chromatic scale and all that lot. But Roy got this reputation at the Palladium. He came on and he played. He's another one, Norman Wisdom. Give him a clarinet and a tenor sax, B flat tenor sax. They're all pretty much similar fingering and all the rest of it. It's when you get to the bassoon and the oboe, they're all reed instruments. What section of the orchestra does the saxophone belong to?
Wind.
Oh, good lad. You'd be amazed how many people say, oh, brass. No, it's a reed. Woodwind. You'd absolutely...
Boozy and hot.
There's more to you than meets the eye, you know. You know a little bit about things.
That's what the wife's cousin said.
It's always good to know a little bit about everything than everything about a little bit, isn't it? You can converse in every... Name any subject you want. Here, I'll name diamonds. What do you know about diamonds?
Forever.
What else?
Carrots.
Yeah. Colour, clarity, carrot.
Yeah.
What else do you know?
Illegal diamond mining in Africa.
Yeah.
I thought I saw that.
It's stuff that you pick up on this walk of life. Little things that you remember. And I've got a brilliant memory. I pride myself in my memory. But
does this mean you want that tenner back?
No, you get young, Carl, have a drink. But what it is with that, with the memory, sometimes it's a curse. Like, have you ever had a song going through your head all day?
An earworm.
I can't get them out of my head. The last one I was on was Beethoven's Pastoral. And then after that I was doing Peer Gynt and the All of the Mountain King. And I kept going faster and faster when I was working. And it's going through your head and it drives you mad, doesn't it?
It would do.
The best way to do it is have about 12 double whiskies and sleep.
Yeah.
Do you ever have a recurring dream?
It's like Groundhog Day in my life, Fred.
Is it? Every day. Bill Murray, good film, wasn't it?
Great film.
I was watching something the other night and I thought, I bet Flynny's watching this. And it was Went the Day Well.
That's it. Great film, that, Fred. Funnily enough, I mentioned that to someone last week about that. Very strange
I love them
film.
all. Cockle Shell Heroes, Went the Day Well.
We're back to talking pictures again, aren't we, Fred?
How many in The Great Escape actually escaped?
3.
Name the 3. You're absolutely right, but name the 3. You can join in on this, Carl, if you feel the need.
Feel lucky. Punk.
Errol Flynn.
This is a Magnum 45, the most powerful handgun in the world. Right now you've got to ask yourself, how many did I fire? Well, punk, do you feel lucky? Boom! It'll blow your head clean off. He was good in what he had you louder.
It's at the high road.
Clint Eastwood, he's 90 odd now, isn't he, Clint?
His birthday the other day.
We used to have a bloke that come in the pub and he thought he dressed as a cowboy, but we all called him Clint Eastwood. You might want to scrub that bit.
Oh, okay, right.
I'll edit it. I'll edit it.
Edit it, yeah. I hope here's Clint.
Have we had any adverse comments yet?
A few, but they've scrolled up, so...
Oh, right. People have actually said, Fred, we should make this a regular occurrence.
Do it. I enjoy it. I like talking about my life.
I think we should.
But most of all, I like talking about me.
Well, no one else is going.
No, I like talking to you, Flynny, because you wear it so you're a proper man. And Carl, God bless him, he tries. He tries to
Not
follow.
hard enough.
Tries my
He
patience.
tries to follow in. Yeah, he tries your patience and tries to follow in those footsteps. But you know, possums.
Pretty easy with your limps.
He won't though after he's had. I noticed he had a walking stick on the last thing he did.
He did, yeah.
Like the
It's
gardens
just for show.
review now.
That was
It's just for
effect.
show, though.
That was
That's
for
just,
effect.
Is it?
yeah,
for-
he's going for the sympathy.
If I was him, I'd keep the walking stick, but I'd wear a bowler hat and draw a little mustache. And swing it
He
round.
said he's going to hollow it out and put lead in it so he can whack the kids.
Do you know-
This is what it's
Smart.
like behind the scenes.
Small children and the big
I've got a paste stick. Come and have a look at this. You've just reminded me. Can you come with that camera?
We can.
Do you know, this morning I went to
Oh.
Barry's Record Rendezvous on Blackfriars Street.
I know it
Shut
well,
down.
Fred.
I went from there to Ralph's Records on the corner of Todd Street and Corporation Street. Shut down. I thought I'll have to go to Rare Records. Finished. It's the Ape and Apple now.
Hyman Addison. Ape and Apple. Alts's house.
Yeah, well, that was
You were
where
nearly
Rare
right.
Records was. So in the end, I went to Hyman Addison and I bought me record. And I kid you not, this is going to be big.
Let's hear it, Fred.
Do you know what it is?
Is it Monkeys Can't Be Wrong?
Yeah! You'll get the melody in a bit.
There we go, we're in it, we're in it.
Peanuts! This is it. If you're looking for the moral to the song, 50 million little monkeys can't be wrong. Anyhow, I've got it. And it's going to be so big.
Yeah.
So big you won't believe it. But we talked about the hollowed out walking sticks. Come and see here, Bitter. What do you think?
Hey,
Just looking at the ball patch.
See this here?
oh.
I put.
Hey Fred, have a look at a tree on Eccles Church Street like that. That big issue salesman who might have is me.
Can you see it? It's from the Gurkha Regiment.
Is it really?
Yeah. But I put an elastic band on that one to draw the curtains. I use it for that. Draw the curtains. But they're good, aren't they?
Oh, I thought it was going to be a sword stick or something, or a cookery in it, or a knife, or...
Oh, don't do that, they're illegal.
Yeah!
This time you've gone too far, Sir Percy. On guard! Thrust, parry! Leslie, parry! Good, eh?
Blimey, it is.
Totally illegal, you know.
Oh, good.
I hope nobody ever finds out I've got them.
Well, you'd be in trouble, Fred, if, heaven forbid, someone's watching this.
That one opens as well.
Does it?
Have you noticed the lion's head on the top?
Yeah. Oh, there's no, yeah. Is there a secret way to open these books? Oh,
I don't know, fiddle with it myself. I'd forgotten how long it is since I held it.
Yeah, hang on a minute. Hang on.
Oh, hey, you be. Man could walk through Eccles with a swagger.
You could walk along the promenade with an independent air.
Well, if
You could hear the people say, "Who's that Flynny over there?" The day they built the bank at Monte Carlo. That's interesting up there, by the way, Carl. Can you see it? Can you zoom in on that? There's some names on there where it came from. Lord Lascelles, Princess Mary's, the maid's room, the day nursery, the night nursery, the bathroom. This was from their mansion. All that paperwork under there has all the provenance in it. Worth an arm and a leg, that.
as long as it's not my leg.
I'd sell it.
My leg.
I would. I'd sell it. I'd sell it. And look at the cat here, the stuffed cat. Did you get the stuffed cat on here last time? Look at him there. Hey. Hey.
Ah. Hey, that's not from Larkhill Place, is it?
Yeah, I nicked it.
Good lad. I was after that myself.
Do you know that Larkhill Place is an old shop there with oh, let me show you my MBE. I've not shown it yet, have I?
No.
I'm very proud of this, and I'll show you.
I got the Order of Lenin on the other day.
Did you? I'll just wipe the dust off here. Here it is. I can only wear this on Remembrance Sunday.
Can't I?
It's a jazzer, isn't it?
Suit me that.
Dead proud of that. The
Come on,
only thing
Lizzie.
I regret.
Would you take one now if you were
No,
not?
I'd send it back straight away.
Would you?
No.
Honest?
Seriously.
Why?
I don't believe in a system whereby somebody is designed better than another.
It's not about that. That was for services
what
to
you thought, mate.
charity.
I would not decry anyone
Got a light, mate? Proper zip
who
on.
got that like Mac.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't decry anyone having them.
Don't forget where that lives, Flynny. Well, you're getting too
Sorry,
attached
sorry,
to that.
sorry. It wasn't. You see,
Let's go and stab the wife.
it was a bit like that watch,
What was that?
the Speedmaster.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't get it off.
You'd have got it off.
You would have done. It's
She's reading in there.
Oh well.
Aye, so I wanted to show you that, and these are from the Gurkha Regiment.
Did they give you Fred? Or?
No, I did a deal with Harry Hargreaves.
All right.
Do you know Harry Hargreaves?
No.
You do?
Do I?
He used to have the Piazza, or was it the Plaza on Regent Road, a butcher's.
I
he
do.
was.
Yeah. No. Piazza,
And his
yeah.
butcher's was there, and at the bottom of
Cohen's
Water.
Carpet.
Oh, I don't know
I used to
about
work
that.
for Chapman as a mere use.
Yeah.
At Deansgate House on Deansgate, the co-op building. Saturday job with David Cohen, carpets, and he'd moved to the Piazza in 66, 7.
Heard of him, don't know him.
fella, Lovely fella.
Where was Speaker's Corner in Manchester?
So what I remember, Fred, was by the Shambles on the green there. There used to be a WOVS hut as well. You remember the Shambles before they moved it? That's what I remember.
You're near it, but
Yeah.
if you come across the road to St Mary's Gate from the Shambles, Woolies is there, Woolworths.
Yeah, St Mary's.
Go right to the end of Market Street, and just there was a little croft.
Yeah. That's
And
the
it's
one,
called Speaker's House to this day.
It is indeed. Yeah.
And they used to get there on the soapboxes. I remember being a kid, I was only about 3 or 4, with my dad. And I don't know, there's some push bike there. I don't know. I think my dad put a saddle
Did
on
he
the
nick it?
crossbar and a piece of wood that he made so I could sit on the crossbar and put my feet on it, like, you know. I was only 48 at the time. Come on, Dad, pedal faster. It's not. You're 20 stone, you silly sod. I can't go back. Oh, when I used to have a monkey bike, and I was going to sell it, a little Honda 50, dead small thing. And my mum said, "Oh, don't sell it. Give it your dad. He could use that to go to work at the docks." So I give it him. Rather than, I was going to flog it. I bought it from Taylor's on Shoerill years before, but right, lovely little thing. They're worth about £5 now. I wish I'd have kept it. And the old fella used to go to the docks and he'd go down Broad Street and all the students would be sat on the wall. Must have been very early in the morning for them all to sit on the wall. Where's he coming?
Just coming home.
They all used to clap him as he come past them. And on the way home, he's got his cap on back to it. He's got a flat cap, but he's back to front, you know. And he's coming up Camp Street and it's a one-way street and a bobby pulls him in a black Mariah. I said, "What are you playing at?" "What do you mean, what am I playing at?" You know, my dad, straight away on the attack. "Coming up here." "Oh, I live up here." "Yeah, but it's a one-way street." "Well, I've got to get to my house. It's up 248 Berry New Road." And the cop says, "You can't be married. Go and get off," he says. Honest to God, coming up a one-way street on a monkey bike, he was a nutter. With his Dockers hook on and his yellow singlet shirt and his cap back to front. Do you know, she must have been a right nutter, my mum, taking up with him.
Yeah.
Nah, it's good to tell about the old days.
He was in a field with her once, snogging in some field, and some cow coming. He ran out. He's frightened to death of the cows. And she went down London once. They used that Sedba. She was in the naffy, my mum. She was 17. My dad was 27. It's respectable. You can accept that, can't you? But supposing, I mean, he's 10 years older than my mum. Now, if he was 17 and my mum was 10, that's shocking, isn't it? But as you get to 17 as a woman and your husband's 10 years old, 27, that's accepted. And he was a corporal, he was a regular soldier. My dad signed up for 22 years.
Well, and they met that is pretty regular.
Yeah, they ended up at Sedborough, somewhere up near Kendal.
I've been there.
Have you?
I've been to Sedborough, yeah.
Well, it was there. I've been to Walcott camp. I got invited there as a guest of the Colonel. I had a great weekend up there in Walcott, and it's not far from Sedborough.
Have you ever been to Silloth?
Oh yeah, of course I have.
I've been there, mate.
What were you doing there at Silloth?
I was staying in Carlisle and I went down to Silloth because I thought it was funny. The person I was with didn't. So it's almost an anagram of and it's like the coastal town they forgot to shut down, as Morrissey said. It was like a 1950s thing. I loved it.
I like all that.
Old fun
and Millen Cove and all that area around there.
Oh, it's lovely.
And Buttertubs Pass.
Is that a...
You've never been to Buttertubs Pass?
I thought it was a euphemism.
Do you know, we've got... If we had this weather that we've had for the past week every day, nobody would leave England and go abroad. But all these...
We can.
It's all coming back though, isn't it? All the holiday camps.
Only because of COVID. Do you know what they're advertising now? They're telling camping. Some bird blowing a horn. Come on, you can all come camping. It's never been an holiday for me, that. Lying on a ground sheet on a solid hard floor and waking up in the morning and not having a shower and having to pull the flap up in the middle of the night to pee out the side of the tent. That's not luxury for me. I like 5-star treatment, me.
You're spoiled, Fred.
I mean, every time we go away, me and the missus, I always have 5-star treatment. She goes camping, but I have the 5-star treatment. Keep in the customs. So she's from Little Bolton, you know.
You have 5-star treatment at home, baby.
Thank you, Joe.
Who said that, Cal? Betty Davis again in it. A voice from beyond. I'm writing a letter to Daddy. Whatever happened to Baby Jane? Yeah. No, but it's true that I think if you're going to go on holiday, go for the best. I've been all over the world, and the nicest place I've been to is Bangaram Island. It's the top end of the Lakshadweep Islands, the Laccadives, and then down there to where it's gone very, very modern.
Give us the country. What is it?
India.
Oh, right.
It's 200 miles off the Western Ghats of India.
Yeah.
Goa. The other part is the Maldives. The Maldives is the bottom end, but the Lakshadweep Islands up here, Bangaram, is like the Maldives was 50 years ago. Totally unspoilt. There's only 40 people on the island, and that includes a staff of 26. When I was there, my next door neighbour, on my word of honour, guess who it was? Richard Gere, with this girl he was with, Carrie. I think he's since married her. But they all wanted to use his mouthpiece on the dive boat to go, can I have Richard's mouthpiece that he had yesterday? I thought, go on. And he said to me at the end of it, I was there for 3 weeks.
What are you doing in my garden?
No, he said to me, can I thank you? He said, you've been the most perfect neighbour. I said, you're very welcome.
Who are you?
No, well, exactly. He says, he said, you're the only one that's given me and Carrie peace and quiet and a nice conversation. He said, friendly conversation. And I said, oh yeah. He says, I said, everyone seems to know you. Oh, he said, I'm sorry, my name's Richard Gere. I said, no, it's Richard. He said, I do a little bit of Hollywood movies and things. Oh, I said, right. I said, I'm not into all that. He said, well, it was apparent. He said, because you talk to me like a normal neighbour. I said, well, you're very welcome. And then the following year, guess who was my neighbour? Carol Thatcher. And there's a book at the end of it saying you can put in the comments what you didn't like about the island. She said, I thought that the boat was a bit of a 3-foot drop from there. You should have a jetty. That's Carol Thatcher. I thought, what does she know? Her brother got lost in the Dactyl Valley, didn't he?
Yeah.
Hey, what does she know? And Dennis got done for being at the whiskey and using the parliamentary notepaper to do his business deals, didn't he? Let Years Without Sin took the first ducker, the Iron Lady, her and Arthur Scargill. They did a great job between them, didn't they? Shutting the pits.
More Thatcher. Despise that woman.
She was a chemist.
Despise it. Mr. Whippy. Apparently she worked on the ice cream manufacturing side, didn't she?
Did she?
I'd like to say on camera I hated that woman, despised her, but there you go. Let's not get too critical.
Do you know what I liked? I met him. I was in the Parliament, Jim Callum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he bought me a whiskey, and on the
nice,
way
isn't
home he bought me a packet of fags with a portcullis on and something else. I went to see him about the closures of skill centres in the 80s and that. And he's a
You're a
great
really
fellow.
caring man, like quite, aren't you?
Yeah,
You are.
I care for my fellow man. Yeah, I like to look after them, provided there's a few quid in it.
Well, obviously, yeah.
And I went down there, and he was dead great, Jim Callaghan. He was brilliant. I think he was the MP for Middleton at the time. I can't remember, but he was, and then he was the Prime Minister. But he was brilliant. I enjoyed his company in the St Stephen's entrance. Have you been to the Houses of Parliament?
Never, Fred.
The last
Not
time I was
since
down
Guy
there,
Fawkes.
when I got my MBE, Joe was with me, and Lady Widdop and Lord Widdop. They came as our guests. So you're allowed to take 3 people beside yourself, 4 people. So I went down with him. Joe took me on the London Eye afterwards, trying to snog me out.
She would do. She's only human.
Yeah, he's having my medal out to one side like that. Says, right, you can
yeah.
snog me now. Don't mind, you don't cover the medal. But we went down there, and Barbara Keeley, the MP,
No, Barbara.
took us into the what's that bar called in the House of Parliament, Joe?
Stranger's bar, isn't it?
That's it, Strangers Bar or something. And you're not allowed to buy a round of drinks.
My kind of pub.
Yeah, it's got to be. She bought us about 3 rounds, didn't she, Barbara Keeley? Yeah, she was all right, and I hope she sees this because I'm ready for another drink, Barb.
Worsley and was it Worsley and Ecclesford? Is it?
Hey, I'll tell you who else I got on well with as well, and not a lot of people had a great deal of affection for her. She lived up Victoria.
I know you mean the check waving woman, Hazel Blaze.
Yeah, and her brother and her husband Mike. I got on all right with them. A lot of people didn't like her, did they?
No.
Where was her politics? Was she Tory?
No, she's Labour, wasn't she? But she offended a lot of people with the check waving incident. She, I think we're safe saying that when she produced it. She meant well. I'm certain she did.
I found her all right.
I did.
I was at the Willows once, and she was in the audience. I said, "Hello, Hillary." I said, "I'm sorry." "Hello, Hazel." And she did a double take because I called her Hillary. I said, "Your hair's nice. Have you come on your motorbike?" Because she had a motorbike, didn't she?
She did.
She
Remember that record? Hi, Hazel.
Yeah, that was and the Ram Jam band.
Yeah.
Hi, Hazel.
Hey, you see, Fred. Have you still got your vinyl?
No, I flagged it.
No.
I give it a bloke to sell and said take 10% and put it all on eBay, and had some great stuff on there. Talk about Gino Washington. I was with him at the Whiskey a Go Go when he did hand clapping, foot stomping, Funky But Live, and I was on the album with that.
Oh, yeah?
And yeah, me and Dave Cash. Do you remember Dave Cash?
Was he a DJ?
Yeah. Did Radio 1. Hi, brothers and hi, sisters. Let me tell you, for one reason, that's to see Gino Washington and Ram Jam Band. Right. Okay, it's a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they come on. The Ram Jam Band, they had a bloke called Herky that played sax. He was brilliant. And Gino come on, he had presence. But he did songs like Michael.
Yeah.
Michael's got a song of his own. And She Shot a Hole in My Soul. Did all that lot. And then he did Hipsters, Flipsters,
and
Finger Popping Daddies. Yeah.
You know where that come from?
No.
Lord Buckley,
Get off.
an American chap. He was, how can you put this? He had this persona of being an English gent, Lord Buckley. And bless him, the great C.P. Lee, he used to do a touring show about Lord Buckley. And Buckley used to do all these, pin me back your lugs, your lobes and all that, you hipsters, flipsters and finger popping daddies. And that's where it came from.
Did it really?
Yeah, you see.
Well, you educated me.
Well,
but getting back to C.P. Lee, I was with C.P. Lee when he was doing a talk once, and we walked past the Free Trade Hall, and he said, "This brings back memories." I said, "You weren't here." And he said to me, "How do you know?" I said, "Because I was here, and I didn't see you then." He said, "I was a lot younger, you might not recognise me." It was where Bob Dylan was appearing there, and he got booed on stage. Because
Judas.
he played Judas. He played electric guitar instead of his folk
He wrote a book about that called Like the Night, and he was there actually.
He might have been.
I'll tell you, here's one for you. You know Pete Martin, a friend of ours.
Yeah.
Great story this. Make it quick, obviously. He went for tickets to see Dylan. He was a callow youth. He was only a boy, our age. And he went to Hyman Addison's, as we mentioned earlier, for the tickets. And the lady said to him, "Sorry about this, young shaver. We've only got these tickets here. They've come in late. You can have them. Anything for Bob Dylan." He's only on stage with him, behind it, Dylan, there. And if you look on the footage, there's young Peter. What a ticket. That must be the best ticket. And musical history was made that night when the heckler shouted out, "Judas!"
Yeah.
I don't believe you lying play. The lovely Joe Martin. No conversation is complete without mentioning Joe. Lovely man.
Yeah.
Lovely. Oh, one more as well, Jummer. The lighthouse man said to me,
Phil.
Bill Austin, Flynny, what you doing in my garden? Put that cutlery back. Can one day, if I behave, can I go up to Fred's? And I said, I think we could
Bring him down.
Yeah, and we can have a good chat.
Bring him down to the next visit. I'd like to see him.
Yeah,
He looks
we'll
like
do
my
that.
kind of chap, him.
Well, he is. He's a nice guy. Right then, the time, young man, is nearly past. We've done an hour and a half, Fred.
Wow. What do you think they get fed up?
No, you know, we planned, but it never goes to plan, does it? They're the best plans.
Do you know why?
Don't
Because
work.
we digress.
Yeah,
Both
well,
you
yeah.
and I, we both digress.
Yeah, that's
Because
good.
you try to cram everything that you've got in your head into an hour and it can't be done.
do.
No, but we
Can't
try.
be done.
And
That's why I say we've got to do this again, regular.
yeah,
Regular.
before we die.
He fell asleep then, did you see it? He was asleep.
You don't look well to me. You can't
Doesn't,
have long
doesn't.
game that Carl, can you?
I just hope he makes it down that road.
Do you reckon?
There's a film, mate.
I hope so.
Just know this, we're all in line. We've all got a ticket. And Doris Stokes
Yeah.
knew she was going to die. And so do I.
Yeah.
And so do you. Nothing special about Doris Stokes.
I always wanted to punch her. That's, you know what I call it?
I'd like to-
strike happy medium.
Not bad for you, that's funny. Strike a habit, I'll use that. Yeah, you probably will. Yeah, strike a happy medium. They all fell for it. James Byrne, who was a clairvoyant, he used to come on my show. One day he came out. I don't mean came out as gay. He came out and said to me, Fred, it's all been a scam. It's all been a lie. I don't know anything about clairvoyance. I just pray on what people tell me.
I think that was.
And he was a good conversationalist. You know, who believes in that? It might be. I don't know. This
don't
Ouija board. And, do you know what Ouija comes from? French and German. Ja. Ouija. Yes, yes. That's where it comes from. But people get around these Ouija boards and they spell out
They
a name
want to
like-
believe it though, don't they? That's what it is.
I think,
I think it's preying on people's.
My mum, when my dad died, wanted
sensitivities.
to go and see a clairvoyant.
No,
I think they clutch at straws, don't they?
of course they do.
And they say that time's a great healer. No, it's not. Time doesn't heal anything.
No.
It helps you live with it easier, but it doesn't heal it.
No,
If you lost somebody
fully
close
agree
to
with
you.
that, Fred.
I'm getting a message.
Yeah,
Somebody in the room.
yeah. The word.
The word.
Yeah, we know that word.
Are we wrapping up?
Yeah. Fred, marvellous. I
And
love
you,
this, man. Love it.
Tony. Thanks a lot, Carl.
And we'll do this again.
It's only because my battery's going on the phone.
Oh, about right. Isn't it? Next week, Fred. Thank you,
Yeah,
Fred.
yeah, yeah, whenever you want.
And we'll put the world to rights, wrongs, ruin and racking.
Yeah.
And we'll just rab it on.
I've got to
shall
go
we?
and mow the lawn now. I've had a row with her.
Fred,
Yeah?
you're at the dentist Friday.
Oh, I'm at the dentist.
Well,
next week.
we'll-
I'm having my
we'll-
teeth done. Implants. You wait while I've had them done. I'll give you the biggest love bite you've ever had. And not only that,
Turkey
people will
teeth.
say, "Who's that? What's Brad Pitt doing in Irvine?" And it'd be me.
What's Bradford Pitt?
I've had my eyes done.
we
I told you,
applied?
didn't I?
Oh, we're still talking. Oh, right, sorry, Fred.
Well,
We're
I
still
told,
talking when you just use the about the social.
what did I say?
You're still working and signing on.
Oh yeah. Sign on whenever I can. Me. Have you done any paid work since you last appeared?
Yeah.
Did you make any money? 4,000 quid. £4,000? You're joking. You started, eh? What was that place on Trafford Road, the Labour Exchange? What was the one that they used to have? That man was in Prestwich. And he used to have the lump when he was in the building trade. They had the lump. You'd sign your 715s, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and all that nonsense. And then they brought the 715 with your picture on and all the rest of it. But everyone was on the lump. They were all working on building trade
My dad was on that.
and drawing the dole money.
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
It was wrong.
Hard
And
times,
these,
though,
well,
innit?
these things
Hard
got
times.
job centres now. They're joke shops, aren't they?
I used to work in one, Fred.
Did you?
Yeah. 1981, Deansgate Job Centre. I was that man. And
Did
know,
you
guess
have a
what?
title?
Here's the irony.
Was you like a PP1 or?
No, I was a clerical officer.
When I was
To tell you the final irony, Fred, they made me redundant
get off.
on my life.
Job centre
They
makes you done.
took me on an 12-month contract.
Poetic justice
Well, you
there.
didn't have
Somewhere.
far to go for another job, did you?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah.
I worked at A-Town Street and then,
Town Street was the big one.
yeah, God,
Do you know, I used to gig at the Grand Hotel, and I had to take my gear underground to get to the function room. And I had to go through kitchens
On my word of honour, there was rats and mice and everything all over the place. And they're illegal now, but they had a big stock pot going all the time on the stove, putting all the potato peels and onion skins and all that for the veg stock and that. And there was rats running all over the top. And I said to my mate at the time, Joe, we're never going to come and eat here. But that's the devil we know. What about the devil we don't know, that we never see the kitchens? And somebody put on Facebook the other week, is there anything that you wouldn't put in your mouth no matter how hungry you were? That's rubbish. If you'd have been a prisoner of war, you'd have ate anything. My mate Dominic Rhea was telling me about the times he was incarcerated in a prisoner of war camp and they ate rats. And they were glad of it. And they didn't even cook them, they just ripped them apart. Yeah, just ratatouille, one or two of them. But that's what they do, and if you're really that hungry...
Circumstances dictate, don't they?
Of course they do, absolutely. Yeah. We used to have a shop at Barlow's over the road, and it was... we were on tick. Do you know what tick is?
Of course.
You had to pay the bill. And the bill every week was something like £9, 15 shilling and sixpence.
Big
And my
family.
dad used to give it a tenner housekeeping. He worked at Warden Goldstone's early doors. And out of that tenner, he used to be 12 quid. He kept £2 for himself. And he gave me mum a tenner. And every Friday morning, she used to say to my Uncle Jim, who was a lodger. Everybody had lodgers in the 50s. My Uncle Jim was a lodger. Said to us, can you lend us £1 till next week? And she was always £1 in arrears. Every week she needed £1. But we never went without. She used to buy us Barrett's Lucky Bags. She'd buy us Aero. She'd buy us penny Arrow bars. She'd buy us flying saucers. Everything like that. And that licorice wood that used to chew like that and it whipped somebody with
It's
it.
gold, yeah, all that.
Yeah. And what was the other stuff, the big famous stuff that we had in those days? Barley sugar twist. Spiral, you used to suck them like that and you end up with it. Look right.
And you're at the dentist next week then?
Yeah.
That's all them barley sugar twists.
Yeah.
Fred, not being rude. We've got to hit the high road. That road's it's like the road to hell, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Get in here.
Hey, make a good song title, that, The Road to Hell.
Someone will do it. Right, we're getting off. Thanks for watching. Persevering, I think would be the word.
Yeah.
But you persevere. So
It's an endurance, isn't it?
Tell me about that. So persevere next Thursday. We're planning that one. And if you've got any suggestions, make them clean, please. Let us know, and we'll ask you, Fred.
Yeah.
Fancy that.
And get all the Phil, the lighthouse keeper.
Yeah,
bring him
Phil,
down.
if you're watching, or even this chap here.
Yeah,
You
Keith
can
Warrender.
come down and put the record straight, right, wrong, or whatever.
And there's still an entrance into the underground. If you ever approach us personally, I'll tell you where it is, but I'm not broadcasting it because it
well,
might
I
end
wouldn't
up
do,
in
Fred.
some altercation with the local government. But I'll show you where you can get. In fact, we'll do a tour one time. We'll go around that Manchester area because there's a cemetery there at Huntsbank with loads of skeletal remains.
Well, I like a bit of that.
We can do that.
We'll do that, yeah. Skeletal. Yeah, take us round, Fred.
Okay,
We'll
it's
film.
underground, but I'll take you to where it is above ground and point down to you and say it's just there.
He's got web feet.
There's a section, if you look at it, down where the Irk joins the Irwell, there's a masonry works breaking like that. It's an accident waiting to happen. And it's right where the Manchester Evening News Arena, whatever it's called now, is built above it with all them steps.
really.
You'll see it.
Huntsbank, yeah.
And the Manchester Smelting Company used to be there.
You know too much, Fred.
I know.
Right. Okay.
Ta-ra.
Cheers. Thank you.